Today on Larry King Now, it's Billy Crystal, the comedian, offering Seth MacFarlane some advice on hosting the Oscars.
You can't please everybody. As a performer, you have everything in your way of being, being good. And it's freezing in there, so you got that working against you.
Talking about the inspiration for his new movie.
But it started when we had Janice and I had our granddaughter stay with us for 6 days.
That's the genesis.
That's how it started. And on the 7th day, I rested and came into the studio and said, I have an idea for a movie.
And of course, the Yankees.
I was talking to somebody from the team. I said, I just want to quote you something from one of my uncles who used to say to my mother, spend $1.
Plus, he'll play a game of If You Only Knew.
I don't like Kasha Vanishkis.
What?
See?
Kasha Vanishkis is a treat.
I know.
That's all ahead on Larry King Now. What a pleasure to welcome to Larry King Now an old friend, Billy Crystal. In fact, I once appeared in a movie, America's Sweethearts, that this man wrote, and it was still one of the classic comedies of all time.
Oh, I don't know about that, but it's pretty funny.
It's a funny movie.
So this is like Charlie Rose with a tablecloth.
Yeah, well, it's the internet, Billy. It's the new wave of things. I saw Parental Guidance last night. It is a terrific, terrific movie. It's going to do great. Opens Christmas Day. You didn't write it.
I wrote the story. I wrote the original story.
But it said at the end, it says written.
No, the Writers Guild doesn't give you credits for a story by anymore, especially if you're I ended up producing the movie, too. But it started when we had Janice and I had our granddaughter stay with us for 6 days.
That's the genesis.
That's how it started. And on the 7th day, I rested and came into the studio and said, I have an idea for a movie. And then I wrote this story about what it could be with this failed minor league baseball announcer. Dragged across the country. He lost his dream job, and now he's got to babysit for these 3 kids. When we finally got the green light, Andy Fickman, who directed it really well, was indeed her head of development at her company for a while, and said, what about Bette? And I said, I was just going to say that, because we were thinking about her all along.
She's perfect.
And she's perfect, and it's like, we're like a pair of old slippers, you know? We just,
you are.
We just
you
know
really
what to
mesh,
do.
Billy. I thought you really were a couple.
Well, that's great, because we knew what to say. So we had this meeting at Mr. Chow.
Yeah. New York?
No, here. Oh. And we were married right away. She ate off my plate. She wanted to drive, you know, so it's... we both come from a really similar place with our view about show business.
Which is?
We really respect the past and who came before us. And in that way, we're kind of, you know, sort of vaudevillians in our own, with a modern twist, you know, and I think our work has always reflected that. And,
yeah, it does. In fact, I'll get back to the movie in a minute. When you did the Oscars last year, which was brilliant, a lot of people said the younger people weren't in tune with that. What did you make of that? That bugged me.
You can't please everybody. And, you know, so if they weren't in tune, they weren't in tune. I just know it's a hard show to do. And
you're not kidding.
And you can't please everybody.
How do you think they're going to do with Seth MacFarlane?
I think he'll be fine. You know, he's a very funny guy.
Very. Brilliant, too.
Yes, and he can write, and he can sing, and he's got an offbeat mind, and I wish him the best.
What's the key to doing that?
Preparation is one thing. Be ready for, not just for that show, but in your career. You take that stage, and you got a big responsibility. And you have to be able to handle situations. You never know what's going to happen. You hope that something happens that you can riff on, if it does, you know, and I think you need experience is a good thing to be up there.
Were you the one who introduced musical numbers to the opening?
Yes.
You were the first to do it. Carson didn't do that.
No.
And certainly Bob Hope didn't do that.
No, and the film pieces. I was really proud that, you know, as a host, we stretched the boundaries of what an MC could do, you know, on the show. And that's why I think, you know, I had a good time, and the audience hopefully did too as we went along. So you try to do different things. And then when you can't think of something new, then don't do it anymore.
Is a career important?
Sure.
Yeah?
I mean, there were times where I didn't have a movie out or something, but I could, 2 billion people saw me that night, and hopefully you were good. So it's a great way of keeping yourself going.
How's the pressure of it, though?
Huge. Even after all the years. For me, the pressure started to become, can I be better than I was last year? Can I top
myself?
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to do, and then you realize I don't have to.
And look who failed at it. Letterman failed.
Yeah.
He got caught in that Oprah thing.
Oprah Uma.
You get caught in a court.
Yeah, it's not an easy audience.
No?
No.
You would guess it's a supportive audience.
You would think. Sometimes yes, sometimes they're terrific, but the first moments of that show, Larry, they're nervous. Right, it's a equal playing field, right? The runners are in the starting gate, right?
And they're competitive.
And they're competitive. In the first 5 or 6 rows, everyone's in uncomfortable clothes. The lights are on. As a performer, I hate seeing the audience. I don't like seeing them, but I especially don't like seeing the biggest stars in the world looking at me going, please be good. And if you're going to make a joke about them or so on and so forth, I definitely don't want to see them. And then cameras are running through the audience taking the reaction shots because they're the stars of the show. So as a performer, you have everything in your way of being, being good. And it's freezing in there. It's always cold.
Oh, yeah?
It's always cold. So you got that working against you.
Also, when you do the ad-libs, which work a lot.
If they happen.
But the camera can't get there fast enough.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's why you also need we were fortunate, we had really great directors every time we did the show. And then you hope for something to happen. Not every show with Jack Palance is going to do one-arm push-ups and you could run with it for the rest of your life. You know,
you couldn't have planned that.
No. No. Jack was the greatest.
How'd you like doing movies with him? They were such...
I love Jack because he was a real old-time, in the best way, movie star. He was he knew who he was on screen. He knew how to command a frame of the camera. He understood that technique so well, and I learned so much from him. And we only did 2 weeks together on the first movie. He was only in the movie 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, and it was 2 of the best weeks of my career. And we both get nominated for Golden Globes, right? He was up Best Supporting, and I was up for Best Actor in a Comedy, right? So we're at the table, and Jack's category comes up first, and he wins. And I'm thinking, he's going to win the Oscar. It's his time. So he makes a speech. He comes back to the table. And whoever daughter was the Golden Globe girl didn't take him to the press room. He said, no. He said, I said, Jack, you're supposed to go to the press room. He says, I don't care. I want to be here when you win. All right? So my category is next. I don't win.
Who won?
I don't remember. He stands up and I go, where are you going? To the press room. You lost.
Little known, you know, he did a great Streetcar.
Yes, he did.
Succeeded Brando.
He was Brando's understudy,
That's right.
too. Yeah.
We'll be right back with Billy Crystal. The film is Parental Guidance. It is a terrific movie. It's got a lot of layers. We're going to talk about that right after this. We're back
Santa Fe, New Mexico. You're
Billy
on
Crystal imitating my old shows.
Mr. Crystal, the first time I saw you was in Miami. Do you go there a lot anymore?
We go back a long way, Billy Crystal and I. Radio, television.
Mr. Crystal, did you ever see Tubby Boots in Florida? He was very funny.
Okay, the theme of Parental Guidance is the grandparents taking care of the 3 grandchildren.
Yes.
They've not been close to these children. It's very funny, but at the same time, tender.
It whacks you.
Yeah, it does. You cry at the end. You got to cry at the end. Where'd you find those kids?
The kids are fantastic kids.
Where'd you get them?
Well, casting process. Bailey Madison, who's 12, she's the older girl, is a veteran. She's already like a big star. Joshua Rush, who plays the middle boy with a speech impediment, came to me in a reading. We were showing the studio the first time the script, and they wanted to do a reading. So a casting director suggested him. I loved his look, and he came in. He has a very, spoiler alert, but he has a very difficult speech to do in the movie. It's sort of like, it's the kid's speech.
Right.
You know, because he doesn't speak well, and suddenly he has this moment of epiphany, and he nails it.
Oh, does he?
He nails it. And now he's 7 years old when I meet him the first time. And I said, how did you do that? He said, well, I Googled it on YouTube. And then he said, would you like to hear it in Spanish? And he does this classic call in Spanish. He's a genius kid. So we kept him around, and then we knew we made the movie, we brought him in. He hadn't grown much, and he was perfect, and he's tender and sweet and great, and it's a killer moment.
And the little one.
Kyle, we found in a commercial from Canada. He lives in Toronto, and we found him in this Canadian commercial, and I said, that kid, he's a really cute Mason Reese. You know what I mean? We get him.
Didn't the old axiom be, don't work with kids?
W.C. Fields said that. Yeah. Or animals.
Animals or kids, yeah.
These kids are brilliant kids. They have big parts. This is a really well-written movie.
Oh, it is.
And I had as many scenes with Kyle, the little redhead guy, as I did with Bette.
Why didn't you do the screenplay?
Because as the producer and as the creator thing, I'm in the room. And you get people who do this for a living. And I could punch up and guide as we went. I developed it with them. And so that way I get everything I need.
Marisa Tomei, how did she get on to the film?
Marisa is a brilliant actress.
Oh.
And she looks like she comes from us. She sounds like me a little bit. And she has this little instinct it's very believable.
Very sexy.
She auditioned, well, that's up to you. She auditioned.
You don't think she's...
Altoona, you're on.
Okay.
It's very weird, Larry,
Okay.
that you say she's sexy.
Okay.
She auditioned for me for Mr. Saturday Night to play my wife.
I love that.
And she was too young to play. She had an age in that, right? But I called her agent and said, listen, she's not going to get this part, but I've never seen her before. She's phenomenal. She's just too young for me. A year later, she wins the Oscar for My Cousin Vinny. So I called her up. She reads the script. She loves it. She comes into the same office that she read, right, for Mr. Saturday Night. She says, am I too old now for this one? I said, no, you look phenomenal. And I think she's terrific. And gives it just the right amount of angst in this movie. You understand why she's a helicopter parent.
I love this movie. I wouldn't have Snow you. If I didn't love it, I would have said, well, you did a good job. I love this movie. Do you think the critics are going to harp on you a little for... One thing that bugged me about critics when they say, this picture's too sentimental.
Oh,
because this is sentimental.
But in a good way.
Yeah, a very good way, very funny.
It's a very real way, you know, and...
very believable.
Yeah, and, you know, I gave up a long time ago trying to figure them out, critics, and, you know, if anyone has an honest tear or an honest laugh, they always find something wrong with that, and I go, what's wrong with their life? And sometimes you end up meeting them, you know, and you sort of get it, why they're so, you know, nasty or unfeeling or something.
I sat with a critic once at a screening, at a comedy, who laughed through the whole thing and then panned it.
Then panned it, yeah.
Explain that.
I don't know. I know there was a very prominent critic for a movie called Misery, and this was one of the top critics in
James Caan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rob Reiner directed. Kathy Bates wins the Oscar for it. Slept during the entire screening, and then destroyed the movie and wrote wrong scenes that weren't even in the movie were in his review. And I remember Rob going crazy about it. Yeah. But listen, they'll say what they want to say. I don't care about them. I want people to come. The people are the critics for me. If they come in and love it and have a good time like everyone has so far, we'll be in good shape.
This is a family movie. You'll love Parental Guidance. Back with more Billy Crystal after this. We're back with Billy Crystal. You got it. And the movie is Parental Guidance, and you will love it, and I'll keep telling you that. And it opens Christmas Day. The Clippers. You were always a Clipper fan.
Yeah, 20-something years now. And finally, we're good, Larry. We're really good.
How did you become a Clipper fan?
Because...
When no one was a Clipper fan.
They asked me to play. They said, listen, we only got 4 guys tonight. Can you still dribble?
At the sports arena, right?
Yeah. I had Laker tickets for a while, and they were great, but there was, like, no challenge, you know? And then a friend of mine called and said, come on, you want to go see the Clippers play? And I said, well, all right. It was at the lowly sports arena, the old arena on the campus of SC there. And there was nobody there. I mean, there was a triple-double meant there were 3 couples in the audience.
They were the San Diego Clippers.
Yeah, and we just sort of liked the minor league feeling of it, in the best way. There was like, we weren't good, but they played hard, and the fans were very loyal. And I somehow liked that. And Donald Sterling he'd come up to me, and I didn't even know him. He calls me around Christmas time. I hadn't met him yet, and I'd been sitting there for a couple of years already. He said, listen, I have a chance to get a player from the, Isaiah Thomas I could get for Danny Manning. Should I make this trade? I'm going, what are you calling me for?
He does that on the street.
I know. He asked, what do you think I should do? But I like him very much, and
Came
they
up
put
to me
together
the
a
other
team.
day, I swear to God, and said to me, would you sign Chris Paul? Would you resign? Yeah, I would.
Yeah, sign him now.
I would sign him now.
Yeah.
Don't lose him. How far do you think they can go?
We can go all the way, I think. I think they have the ability.
Best bench.
Best bench in the league. And I think I love how Vinny Del Negro is growing as a coach. I think we may need a little tweaking in one or two places. Lamar's playing much better now. We're very deep and we're scary.
And what about your Yankees?
I'm confused.
Me too. What they get? They win cheap.
I was talking to somebody from the team. I said, I just want to quote you something from one of my uncles who used to say to my mother, spend $1. We can't fall. Still have a good team, but we have an aging left side of the infield. We pray Derek is going to be whole when he comes back. They've got some great talent, but I'm not understanding quite what they're doing yet.
A ground ball between third and short is going to go through.
It's a double. And if I was running, I'd have to stop twice to pee.
And you're still close friends with Joe Torre, right?
Yeah, one of the great, well, he's one of the great people of all time.
Yeah, he is one of the super great people.
Yeah.
Why didn't you become a Dodger fan?
Well, because when I was forming my love for the Yankees, I was 8 years old. It was 1956, so I was 8. You guys were gone when I was 9, so there wasn't anyone to root for. But after you see Mickey Mantle the first time, it's hard to root for the Dodgers.
I interviewed Mickey a few times. You made one of the great movies, 61.
Thank you.
Maris and Mantle.
I had an amazing creative experience making that movie and recreating that summer as realistically as we could.
Shot in Detroit, right?
In the old stadium, because it really resembled Yankee Stadium, and it was available. They had moved out, and with a great art director named Rusty Smith, we turned that place into Yankee Stadium of 1961, the monuments and everything.
And they played it beautifully.
They were great.
You did a great job with that. What is Billy Crystal? 700 Sundays, one of the great Broadway shows, as I told you backstage.
Yes.
Are you bringing that back?
We may. We're toying with it. I miss doing it a little bit. I've done almost 500 of them, but I feel unfinished with it in a way, and maybe film it. That's what we're talking about.
Did you like doing the same thing every night?
Best experience of my creative life. And you would think, why?
Long show.
One man, a lonely cast party, really bad softball team. It's just me going, I can't get there, you know.
You had to have good clips running on time. You had to have a good guy running the computer.
Yeah, but every night, Larry, it was like a catharsis for me. That I got to visit with these relatives and family friends that I got to play and imitate and bring very real emotion to the play. And every night I finished, I was grateful I had a chance to do it again. And I can remember almost every show that I did. I can remember audiences, what the theater was like, what the floor felt like on those. When it's good on a stage,
nothing beats it.
Nothing beats it.
We'll be back with our remaining moments with Billy Crystal. I understand he's making a prequel to Monsters, Inc. right after this. We're back with our remaining moments with Billy Crystal. Parental Guidance opens Christmas Day. We have some social media questions for you, but first, what is this prequel?
Oh, Monsters University. 11 years ago, we did Monsters, Inc., and it was a lovely movie. I mean, this little green guy with one eye, the CBS walking, I call him, is one of the favorite characters I've ever played. Mike Wazowski, he's like a little monster. I just love this guy. And then John Lasseter called me a couple of years ago and said, I have an idea for a prequel. I said, what do you mean? He said, let's find out how they became scary. So I want to set it in a university. And I said, I'm in. I could see it right away. So John Goodman and I, we're in a university learning how to be scary. It's called Monsters U. And we're 17 years old. I have a retainer. And it's amazing. They make us look younger. We look young. We look like it's the weirdest thing. But I saw 35 minutes of it before Thanksgiving. It's fantastic.
What are you calling it?
It's Monsters University.
Monsters University.
It's hilarious.
John Goodman.
John Goodman, Steve Buscemi.
Al Pacino told me John Goodman is America's most underrated actor.
I agree.
He's a tremendous talent.
And a wonderful guy.
Oh, the best.
And we worked together. Because when we did the first movie, I insisted that, I said, he already recorded his tracks. It's already done. I'm just responding. There's no spontaneity. So I said, can't we work together? And no one had ever done it when Tom and Tim Allen didn't work together in Toy Story. So we did it, and that's why those characters are good together.
You tweet, right?
I've been known to lately.
At Match Game 67 wants to know if you keep in touch with the surviving cast of Soap.
On occasion, I will hear from Catherine Hellman. Otherwise, I haven't heard from anybody in a while.
Did you come up with "You Are Marvelous"?
You look marvelous.
You look marvelous.
Yeah. You came up with "You Are Marvelous."
I just came
just
up.
now.
Okay, I like "R" better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was a character named Fernando who would say that. That was a big thing on Saturday Night Live.
Henshi Grodowski via Facebook asked, "What was the best parental advice you ever got?"
I'd like to know what Henshi's real name was. Why did he change it to Henshi Grodowski? No.
That was it.
What was the best? What was the question?
Well, the best parental advice you ever got? Your father ever give you great advice?
My father's advice always was, be a man. That was, just take it as it comes and just live up to it and just own it and be a man.
Pretty good advice.
Yeah, and my mom was always, find your own way, and those are great things. There was never any coddling. There was never any...
Jewish mothers don't do that.
No, she just let me find my own way.
And D.F. Palumbo asks, it's a good question, do you think Stan Musial would have been bigger than DiMaggio if he were a Yankee? Because Stan Musial was the best ball player I ever saw. I lived at Ebbets Field.
Yeah, he killed Ebbets Field, too.
The man, they named him.
Well, what's the greatest stat in baseball history as far as Stan Musial goes?
Same amount of hits, 3,500 hits, same amount on the road as at home.
I think that's one of the greatest stats ever. I think it's like 1,800 hits at home, 1,800 hits away. I'm just great no matter where I go.
5 homers in the doubleheader against the Giants at the Polo Grounds.
I never saw DiMaggio play, except in old-timers games. But I know what you read about and you go, whoa.
You never saw him, you saw Musial play.
Yeah.
I loved Stan.
Yeah, I think he was a very classy guy, too. Still is.
Well, yeah, he's pretty
So I don't know if
simple.
I answered the question. Those, if they played here, if they did that, those are hard ones.
Sometimes we end the show, we call If You Only Knew. So this is just quickly, if you only knew. What makes you laugh?
My grandkids.
Is there any talent you have that we don't know about?
I'm a dentist.
Well, we can't top that, folks. What's a food you hate? I have a food I hate.
What do you hate?
Eggs.
Why do you hate eggs?
I hate the way they look. I hate the way they taste. I hate the look of them. I hate the shape. Hard-boiled eggs make me sick.
Really?
Oh, my God.
Suddenly you're Jackie Mason. I hate an egg. You put it in the thing. If it's a soft-boiled egg, it could be a guy's eye. I don't like kasha vanishkas.
What?
See?
Kasha vanishkas is a treat.
I know.
Noodles and kasha.
It's a nightmare. It's that barley, and like people think this is why would anyone eat this? This is why Jews have terrible holidays. It's just the food is always terrible. It's just terrible.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you, Larry. But do you know a good kasha vanishkas place? Is there a good kasha vanishkas bar that you go to?
There's no such thing as bad kasha.
You love this?
I love kasha.
You love it? Why?
Loved it. I love it because I love the taste of the noodles with the grain. And I don't like noodles individually.
Right.
I don't like grain individually.
Yeah.
But put them together,
Give me an egg.
it's a bar mitzvah heaven.
I'll tell you that. Give me an egg right now.
Parental Guidance opens Christmas Day. Billy Crystal, our guest. Thanks for joining us.
If kasha vanishkas was so good, why don't they have it like instead of popcorn at a movie theater? You could dip in and
No.
no good.